Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Son of a Witch. 5 Southstairs. For a moment, to rest her hands, Candle set the dominion down. The sound box thumped with a hollowed expression. Its cavity was a kind of a womb, she thought. How ineffable the secrets born there. She wasn't given to the reflection herself, but she was tired. For a moment, she allowed herself to remember her arrival here a month or so before. The one called Mother Yakel had been dozing on a bench in the sunlight. She looked up with a start at Candle's approach. She had stretched out a wilted hand, peering with an expression canny, severe, and resigned. Resigned, that was much the way Candle had felt at the moment. Her uncle had pricked her here. He hadn't wanted her to keep her any longer. The way you're going, you'll be pregnant soon enough, if you're not already, and I can't take a child's newborn with me on the road. It seemed he bought the dominion from its maker as a way to bargain with her. You'll have the Monterey for a year, and the instrument is yours. Do with it what you will, and I'll be back to get you in time. There's not much left for us in our home marshes, but you'll be ruined in the north. They'd spit at you, your easy ways. They'd laugh, your little voice. Stay here and remember wherever I am. The kind of remembering was another skill, but now she was attending to someone else, and her uncle meant little to her. Candle took Liir's hand in her own, a clamminess. Was his color fading, or was that just the sun setting and the jackal moon was rising later than it had? The shadows lengthened and browned. By comparison, her skin was bleached like an old sun-whitened bone. She took up her instrument again and leaned the edge of the minor bridge on the edge of the bed. Her fingers running with the treble range, they danced in contrapuntal jaggery at the top register, not 6 inches from his right ear. Where was he? Lady Glinda said to Liir, I can tell you have no intention of leaving that charred broomstick behind, but if you try to walk into a public space carrying that over your shoulder like a blunderbuss, you'll be taken for a fool, or at any rate noticed. I think what you're after is something a little more like camouflage. She paused to regard herself in a convenient-looking glass in the stairwell. Adjusting her everyday tiara, she conceded, it must be that camouflage is not in effect. I have strived, master. Still, we'll do what we can. Liir followed her down the marble steps of the central staircase. The place had gone quiet. Goodness, everyone takes off for a smoke the minute my back is turned, she said. Where are my kitchens anyway? Through here? She stumbled into a cloakroom and then opened the door to a closet where 2 of the below-stair staffs were involved in recreational exercises. I beg your pardon, she said, shut the door, locked it. Eventually, they'll have to thump to be released, and one of them is bound to be cheating. Heaps of fun, but where's the kitchen? Have you just moved here? Asked Liir. Don't be silly. Lord Chuffrey had this place long before we were married, but I don't cook for myself, if that's what you mean. Nothing other than the toast that I mentioned earlier. And that's done in the breakfast hall. Here we are. A half-flight of stone steps descended into a cavernous, whitewashed kitchen. A dozen members of the staff were sitting about a table so deep in conversation that they didn't hear her coming. Lady Glinda, said a bootblack, and they all leaped up with guilty looks. Glad to be recognized in my own home, said Glinda. I hate to interrupt what your probably well-intentioned plans to kill us all in our beds. But if you don't mind, a minor request for whichever one of you has just a moment to spare. They melted away all but the housekeeper and the houseboy. He's the same size as the bootblack, said Glinda, pointing to Liir. Suit him up in the House of Chuffrey colors, and I'll find some decent shoes, and we'll get him a leather satchel sling. You know, that long cylindrical thingy that Lord Chuffrey's guests used to carry their arrows when they go in the country. They ought to be accommodating the filthy broom, I think. Asking your pardon, Lady Glinda, said the house boy. We have no satchels on the town premises. They're all down to Mockbeggar Hall. Do I have to think of everything? Haven't we been friends? Haven't we the neighbors to borrow from? Aren't their shops still serving the public? Need I go tramping to the marketplace with a sack of coins between my teeth? The houseboy fled. The housekeeper pursed her lips editorially. Don't speak, don't. It's only a temporary appointment, said Lady Glinda. Just for the day, in fact. Now feed up this boy. He hasn't had a square meal for weeks, I can tell. And when he's equipped as I require, return him to the yellow parlor. Lady Glinda climbed the stairs, murmuring kitchens in disbelief, leaving Liir behind. Oh, we'll peel off those beggar's weeds and wash the cauldron room just there. I don't have you staining her fancy farts good livery with your dirty limb, said the housekeeper. I'll put out some food, and you'll be grateful for it, for it's out of our downstairs supply, and we don't take kindly to ravenous upstarts here in Lord Chuffrey's establishment. Where are we going? He peered out the windows of the carriage. Put your head back. Servants don't gawp out of the carriage windows. How odd to be 5 feet higher than the street. It was not an odd experience to which he was accustomed. The carriage launched under spans of stone, stopped for a squadron of uniformed cavalry on display, sidelined among the merchants' parade, and picked up speed along Dirt Boulevard. Cleared of its village of indigents, the roadway showed signs of its original elegance, though its parallel down the trees were in shape. It looked as if it were ground being used for military drills. Where have all the itinerants gone? Where are they going? To the palace, said Glinda, where you will keep your head down and your mouth closed. Are you scared? It seemed too personal a question for a woman to ask a boy. Perhaps she realized this. She continued, I was, the first time I came here. It was with Elphaba. We were older than you are now, but only by a few years. And in many ways, we were more naive. Well, I was anyway, and I was terrified. The wonderful Wizard of Oz. My stomach about dissolved in its own acids. What happened? What happened? She turned the question to herself, examining it. History happened, I suppose. We saw the wizard, and we parted ways. Elva went underground, as it were, and in time I held the limelight. She sighed, with the best of intentions and with limited success. And now, he said, not because he was interested, but because he didn't want any more attention on himself. Now I hold the key, she said. Now, for the first time being, I intend to stand in for the Almighty on their thrones. It's all I'm good for. Are the mighty deserving of thrones? That's an Elphaba question. And out of your youthful, pouting mouth, and it sounded preposterous. Like most first superior cavils, it's no easy answer. How could I know? She sighed. Sit back, I said. Yes, I'm nervous. You'll have to find in time most people are. They simply learn better how to disguise it. And sometimes, if they're wise, how to use their anxiety to serve the public like good. Perhaps being jittery helps me pay closer attention. You know, I didn't want the hard work of government. They all say I need to clean the house. Clean house. That presumes I've cleaned a house before. I say, hey, what are the servants for? Decoration? She was speaking to herself in a way, but she was also trying to cheer him up. He turned his head, confused by her kindness, and busied himself in watching at an acceptable angle as the buildings near the palace hove into view. One mammoth ministry was strapped with bizarre panels depicting various historic Ozmas in characteristic poses. They looked venerable and ludicrous, and the pigeons of the Emerald City paid them no high compliment. But why are we going to the wizard's palace? The people's palace now, said Glinda derisively. Though what the people are going to do with their own palace, I have no earthly idea. She chewed on a nail. That's a clandestine entrance to Southstairs from the palace. Of course, there had to be a means of instantly spearing away any treasonous palace upstart sniffed out in the court. Though the common criminal condemned to serve as more publicly lowered in a cage into the pit that props down those bulwarky ramparts. You see, it's more underground, Southstairs. It's the most impregnable prison in Oz. Nobody who gets in via the cage comes out that way. Well, how do they come out? In pine coffins. She dabbed a satchel doused with olive clove and roof of permission behind ears. By the time the door to her carriage was opened by a staff member of the palace, Lady Glinda had been more regal. Her chin went up, a jewel scepter was provided in her hand, her eye flashed with steel Liir had not noted earlier. Lady Glinda, they murmured. She died to supply the briefs of nods as an indication that she was now deaf and walked by. Liir followed something closer to terror than he had experienced before. He had expected to be rushed away and beaten before he could even protest. But Lady Glinda's penumbra of influence extended 8 feet behind her. It seemed for her progress was questioned, and he came to the threshold of the palace without everyone objecting. The place was a maze, and he lost his bearings almost at once. Accompanied by a palace flunky, Glinda and Liir swept up the grand staircases along arched corridors, past ceremonial chambers and receiving parlors. Another staircase or two, another corridor or 3, and at length they traversed a long dingy room, where dozens of staff members were perched on high stools above ledgers. They splashed ink into their nervous system, though not on Glinda in her celestial blue gown. Behind a wall with her interior window, the better for supervising workers, stood an office with a desk and some chairs. And an elegant man absorbed in a new sheet was tipped on the hind legs of his chair, his ceremonial boots propped up on the desk, and his saber stuck in the soil pot in front. "Commander," said Glinda, "we're here. Show some respect, or pretend to anyway." He leapt to his feet with ostentatious speed. Liir blinking gaped. "Commander Cherrystone," he said. "You've met?" said Glinda. "How droll." "I'm drawing a blank," said the commander, wrinkling an eyebrow. "A Kamiko. You were the head of the Gale forces at Red Windmill. It was your men that kidnapped Fiera's widow Samira and her sister and her children." Commander Cherrystone smiled deferentially and offered Liir a hand. "Kidnap? We took them into protective custody for their own good. How were they to know the depravity of the witch they were harboring?" "And how well did you protect them?" said Liir. "Ooh, the boy has spit, has he?" said Commander Cherrystone, wiping his sleeve. "I like that, son, but please, this is my best dressed uniform." He was equable and seemed to take no offense. Liir glared at Glinda. "You've taken me here to him, betrayed me to the very man responsible for Nora's abduction. Recommendations, they get us nowhere," said Lady Glinda. "And how was I to know, considering it poetic justice? Now he must help you, because I say so." She turned to Cherrystone. "Look, Commander, I've laid it all out. You got my note? The boy wants to see Fiera's daughter if she's still alive. As an officer and a governor of the prison, you can make the arrangements, can't you?" "It's an institution with its own apprentice. It's a prison," said Commander Cherrystone. Rather approvingly, thought Liir. "I can't say I remember you, but my work involves many posting, and none of them I have ever before met a soul who wanted to enter Southstairs voluntarily. You must understand, no promise says that you will leave it, either dead or alive. It might be your tomb." "My name is Liir," he said. He tried to fit his chin as he had seen Glinda do. "We've met. I like you. You seem decent." "I try to be decent within reason," he replied. "Anyway, I had the little choice of if I wanted to gain the trust of that naughty little clan in Kamiko." "What happened to Sarima?" asked Liir, Fiera's widow. "Everyone dies. It's a question of where and how, that's all." "Oh, bandying, please my head," said Glinda. "I feel like I'm back at Shiz, the debating tourneys. What a migraine. I need a tonic. Are you going to do this for me, Commander?" I wouldn't be here if you didn't require it, he answered. Ready, lad? I'm ready, Liir answered. He turned to Glinda. Ought I take off these silly clothes? What, and go naked into Southstairs? I wouldn't recommend it, said Commander Cherrystone. Glinda waved dismissively. Then she tucked her hand against her mouth and bit her knuckles. It was hard to know if her pretty ways were studied or innate. Oh no, she managed. I don't know that I'll see you again. And you remind me so much of her. I haven't Elphaba's talent, said Liir simply. I'm not worth mourning, believe me. Her power was only part of it, said Glinda. She was brave, and so are you. Bravery can be learned, he said, trying to be consoling. Bravery can be stupid, said Commander Cherrystone, believe me. The boy didn't move forward to touch her or kiss her. In Kiamako, only Nanny had been the kissing type, and Liir hadn't been figured much in her affections. So merely said, well, goodbye then, and don't worry, I'll take care. Then they looked at one another. In a moment, Liir lose heart. He would do nothing. He would do the shaming thing that the houseboy predicted. He learned Nora's life reached its destiny without intervening, in exchange for having someone stand in as a mother. Lord knows Elphaba hardly had, and here was Glinda blinking back tears or something. She looked at him as if thinking the same thing. The moment passed. You do your work, Lady Glinda told him. Ah, speed, and don't forget your broom. Her broom, said Liir. Your broom, she corrected him. And that is the end of that chapter. Thanks for listening. See you later.